one of the most polarizing issues facing the American public over the past decade or so. And that's one of the things here is what you want to think about is why would we possibly ever want to provide universal coverage to everyone in the UC system or potentially everybody in the United States, right? Why would we want to do that? Well, the notion is who seeks health insurance more frequently than not, right? If you don't require everybody to have health insurance. Sick people, right? Or people who think they're going to be sick in the foreseeable future. So if not everybody has health insurance, what you've got is you've got sick people selecting into health insurance. And what do sick people do? They get sick, right? That costs a lot of money to fix. What does that mean for premiums for health insurance, right? If only sick people select into health insurance. Premiums are really, really high, right? Because the next insured person is more likely than not going to be a person with increased health risks, so premia to insure individuals are going to be high. What does this do to the likelihood of healthy people seeking insurance? Drives it down, right? So if all the sick people have insurance, the costs are really high because all the sick people are in insurance. I'm drawing the extreme here, right? The reality is slightly different. But if all the sick people are in insurance, premia are really high because the insurers think that the next person signing up is more likely to be sick than not. That drives up premia and discourages healthy people or low-income people that can't afford these high premia from seeking insurance, right? So now you're in a world where you have really high health insurance premia, and you have some likely to be sick, not likely to be sick people in the uninsured pool, and the poor people in the uninsured pool can't afford to seek insurance. So you get this notion where you not only get sick people sorting into insurance, but you get an income dimension that goes along this particular issue as well, right? And this is something that you see in the data, right? This is not made up. So if you actually look at who's insured and who isn't, lower income, self-employed individuals have rapidly higher rates of non-insurance than wealthier individuals that are possibly employed by big corporations. So what universal coverage does is it requires everybody to have insurance, right? So there's some cross-subsidization here of people that are healthy and they never get sick, they pay their premiums, they benefit from the knowledge that if you do get sick, right, bad things happen, you're covered, right? You go to the hospital and they'll take care of you. But the sick people are also covered, and their overall rates come down because there's no longer the selection effect that you just have sick people in the overall system. So what we're seeing, for example, at the UC level now, there's been a great discussion about the health insurance scheme for UC, and I'm not going to get this exactly right, but one notion is we're big enough to actually be able to self-insure, right? We have enough healthy people and people who have the risk of running sick that we can, as a university, actually negotiate our own insurance scheme right here. But everybody that works at UC is covered, right? So I have access to great health care, so does my family. We pay a premium every time, and it's part of this large group of UC employees that have medical insurance at a lower cost per person than if we just let people voluntarily select whether to be insured or not, and only sick people select into the insurance. So I think this is a really, really interesting topic. If there were even just 30 hours in a day, not 24, I would love to figure this out better, but I'm lacking the time, so this is going to have to wait till retirement. Okay, so how do we equalize information? We equalize information in a variety of ways. So screening is one. Right, so what you do is if you're uninformed, you go and you seek out the information that is possessed by the informed people. Right, so when you buy a car, you go out, you test drive the car. If it squeaks, if it doesn't handle right, if it just feels strange, you don't buy it. If you ever buy a car without test driving it, just listen to me yelling at you. You always try this stuff out. All right, besides it's kind of fun. Pretend you want to buy that Porsche and test drive it. Good time. Get the insurance before. But the point here is so you can take actions to obtain information that otherwise the only informed person have, or you can see this thing called signaling. Right, so an informed person can take an action to send information to a less informed person. So you may not believe that the car I'm selling you is actually good quality. So what I may do as a used car dealer, I may make Carfax reports free, right? So I'm hiring a third-party company to issue reports on the quality of the goods I'm selling you, and I'm giving you that information by the third party to say, look, I'm not trying to hide anything from you, right? Restaurants sometimes do this by having open kitchens, right? If you're really worried about how clean a kitchen is, restaurants, and even often very low-cost restaurants, right, they just have an open kitchen so you can look in and you can see the operation is clean, right? So you signal through actions that what you know about your product to be true is actually true. And there's a lot of effort done on this dimension here. Keep on going here. Okay. So here comes one of the coolest papers ever written in the history of economics. Right? It was written by a name called George Akerlof. George Akerlof is maybe one of the nicest guys, superheroes in economics. He's smart, he's kind, and he's humble. All right? I mean, just and a great teacher. So unfortunately, he's married to Janet Yellen, who's the head of the Federal Reserve. And they used to both be on the faculty here. So what we're thinking about here is a market for lemons, and I'm not thinking about Meyer lemons, I'm thinking about crappy cars here. So the buyer can't figure out whether a car is a good car or a bad car, right? So two identical red Honda Civics, but you're not sure whether it's a high quality or a low quality one. So what you're going to also see is that if you own a lemon, right, the car is crappy, you're more likely to sell it than when you've got that Honda Civic that's never let you down, right? The thing is in the garage every 4 months, you're more likely to want to get rid of it and get a different car than the Honda Civic that you've literally only put gas into it for the past 20 years and it still runs. So what you're seeing in the market is consumers can't differentiate between lemons, the bad quality cars, and good ones. And on the supply side, suppliers are more likely to sell lemons than the high quality version of the good. So let's think about the market for lemons, right? Again, crappy cars. So let's think about a market where there are many, many potential buyers for cars, right? So think about the Bay Area or the national market for used cars. All are willing to pay two prices, right? You're willing to pay $1,000 for the low-quality lemon, or you're willing to pay $2,000 for a high-quality non-lemon, right? So functioning, really well-functioning Honda Civic and sort of crappy Honda Civic that lets you down every 300 miles. That's the buyer side. If you're looking at the seller side, owners of cars are willing to sell up to 1,000 lemons, right? So there's a total of 1,000 low-quality cars available, and there's 1,000 high-quality cars available. So that's the total supply of these two types of cars, 2,000 cars total, half of each type quality level. And what we're going to look at here is the reservation price of the owners of these cars, which is simply the price at which they're willing to sell their cars, otherwise they're going to keep them. The lemons, they're willing to sell for $750 or more. The non-lemons, the good cars, you're going to have to pay them at least to $1,250, and later I'm going to change it to $1,750, right? So high-quality cars, you're going to have to pay the owners of those more than the owners of the low-quality cars. So what I'm going to show you graphically, which is one of the coolest graphs ever, it's not that cool, but it's neat, is that there are two possible equilibria. The two possible equilibria is that either all cars sell at a price of $1,500, right? or only lemons sell for the price that sellers of lemons are willing to offer them for. So this slide doesn't make a lot of sense before you actually see the graph. So let me show you the graph. Cool slide title too, right? Equilibria with lemons. All right, here we go. Left one is the market for lemons. Bless you. Right one is the market for good cars. Here's dollars, here's quantity. Okay, so what we said is that there are 1,000 lemons. 6. And the supply for lemons looks as follows, right? So there are 1,000 lemons, and at what price are owners of lemons willing to sell? Well, they're willing to sell at any price higher than $750. So that was in the setup slide I gave you earlier. So the supply for lemons is 0 until $750, and after that, suppliers of lemons are basically willing to sell all of them, right? So let's look at the supply for good cars. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6 right here is 1,000 good quality cars. Good quality cars will sell starting at $12.50. So the supply for good cars looks like this. So what's the efficient outcome here? Well, the efficient outcome is where consumers are willing to pay up to $1,000. Right, so this is demand here. Demand for the low quality. So consumers are willing to pay $1,000, right, for the low quality cars. At that price, that meets the reservation price of owners of low quality cars, which is $750. So the equilibrium here is going to be 1,000 cars sell at $1,000 each of the low quality kind. If you can tell the low quality from the high quality cars, of course, which is what you need for that outcome, then the high quality ones sell for $2,000 and an equilibrium of 1,000 units. Okay? So if there's a sticker, imagine a little sticker of a lemon. Every lemon has a sticker of a lemon on it. Consumers are willing to pay $1,000, so they'll offer $1,000 for the lemon, and the sellers of lemons will say, I will sell you my lemon for $1,000, right? So they actually go home with a little bit of extra surplus here. Same thing here. The non-lemons, right? I'm willing to pay $2,000 for a non-lemon, so I'm paying the $2,000, meets the reservation price of the sellers, which is $12.50. Okay. So now let's think about a scenario where there are no lemon stickers on the car, right? So you're unsure whether something is a lemon or not. Right? So if you're thinking about, let's say you're the type of customer that thinks there's a 50-50 chance that the car is a lemon, right? There's a 50-50 chance. You're not willing to pay $1,000. You're not willing to pay $2,000. You're just paying the expected value of the two, right? So you split the middle, and let's say your willingness to pay now is $1,500 because you're thinking there's a 50-50 chance. So it's either $1,000 willingness to pay, $2,000 willingness to pay, high quality, low quality, half probabilities. So your willingness to pay now is $1,500. I am missing the soccer game of a lifetime right now. I have my idiot friends are sending me, my phone's sitting right here, not that I'm looking at it, but I'm getting like 40 text messages right now. So for those of you, 4, yes, all right. Different story. Let's finish economics. This is not about soccer. Okay, so at $1,500, which is the split difference between 1,000 and 2,000. So if customers are now saying, well, I'm not going to pay 2,000 because there's a 50-50 chance that it's a bad car, so I'll pay $1,500 for these. How many lemons are going to sell? Now customers walk onto a lot with 2,000 cars. They're willing to pay $1,500. Are the lemons going to sell? Lemons are going to sell, right? $1,500. You can't tell. That's the willingness to pay. So all 1,000 lemons sell. All lemons sell at $1,500. All right, what happens to the good cars? Do they sell? Willingness to accept $12.50. You're willing to pay $1,500 for it, so they sell too. All good cars sell. So 2,000 cars sell at $1,500. Question. I'll get to the $1,750 in a second. All right. So right now we're at $12.50. So right now, what's happening? Right. Before, producers got this much here. Call it producer surplus. Now they're getting an extra $500 per car, right, in payment because now the lemons sell for $1,500. What happens to the sellers of good cars? They used to get $2,000. Now they get $1,500, right? So what you're seeing here is that this area right here transfers from the sellers of high-quality cars to sellers of low-quality cars. So there's a surplus transfer if people can't tell the good cars from the bad cars, where now the high-quality car sellers have to sell their cars for $1,500 instead of $2,000, and the low-quality sellers get to sell their cars for $1,500 instead of $1,000. But the equilibrium here is still one where we have all good cars and all bad cars selling. Now what happens, if we answer your question, what if the reservation price of good car sellers isn't $12.50, but what if it's $17.50? So that's a 7 here, $17.50. So instead of having the reservation price be $12.50, it's now $17.50. Well, in the world where you can distinguish cars, right, good from bad, still all cars will sell because 2,000 is higher than 17.50. But in the world where you can't tell lemons from good cars, and there's now an equilibrium willingness to pay of $1,500 per car, how many good cars are going to be sold? Go with our answer that your gut tells you, and your gut should be telling you 0, right? Because now the customers are willing to pay $1,500 because there's a 50-50 chance. But high-type sellers need $17.50 in order to sell their cars, so they're not going to sell any. So the equilibrium number of good cars sold here now is 0. So what are we left with? We're left with a market that sells only lemons, right? Once customers figure out that it's only lemons, what are they going to pay for those lemons? Are they still going to be able to pay willing to pay $1,500? No. In the next round, once they figure out that there are no good cars in this market, the price will drop to exactly $1,000. So what you will see in the long run outcome here is that you'll get a market that sells only crappy quality cars at a really, really low price, and there are no high quality cars in the market. Right? So this issue of asymmetric information right here, it's not one where there's a little bit of transfer here from the high quality sellers to the low quality sellers, but it can actually kill the markets for certain goods, right? So breaking this asymmetric information, where you let people tell what's the good, what's the bad, actually leads to markets, operating in the way that we want, where low quality cars sell for 1,000 and high quality cars sell for 2,000. Okay. We've talked about most of these. So there's laws that prevent the selling of lemons in the sense that if you have a lemon, you can hand it back, right? They're called lemon laws. So they prevent sellers from having incentives to actually push lemons on you. Consumers screen the cars. There's third-party comparisons through places like Carfax. And there's also standards and certification to make sure that a certain product performs as it's advertised. So if you're thinking about insulation, right, all the average person knows about insulation is that it's pink and it makes you itchy, right? It's like this woolly stuff that you shove into the walls, and once you've built a house, you'll never see it again. Do you know whether it works? No, right? So there are standardized values, so-called R values, that tell you how good your insulation is, and you can look at how much benefit you get according to some sort of value thing. There's also certification where certain products are tested and then rated according to how well they perform. Finally, firms have an incentive to signal how good their products are. So they do this by providing you with guarantees or warranties. You don't like it, you bring it back, right? We trust that you will love this product, so we'll guarantee your purchase for a year. Or you just trust certain brands, right? BMWs never break. That's not true, by the way, but all cars break. But that's how we do this. Next time, we're going to do market failure number 5 and 6, and I have exams here for you if you would like to pick up your exam.